God brought Heather into my life and just an amazing part. So let's just go right into the interview, shall we? And I want you to meet her and get to know her story. And we're just so excited that you're here. So welcome, Heather.
Hi.
How are you?
Lovely.
Very lovely. We just got done playing in the park, if you can tell. It's just a little hot out here in Florida.
I'm just glad they can't smell.
Hey, what are you talking about?
Shower, I don't know.
We can tell we have a good time here. So, Heather, go ahead and explain what brought you to Florida. Just share just a little bit about yourself with us.
I actually grew up here in Palm Bay. Went to high school here, went to a Christian college in Jacksonville. Then I decided to come back. I'm not entirely sure why. My family was still here, and I guess I missed them, so I came back and just kind of started my life here as an adult, and I've been here ever since.
So, Heather, you and I got to meet in a very interesting way, and I just want you to share just a little bit about that and kind of set the stage for us, and I'll share my part of that story too, but I'd love for you to start and just share a little bit about how we connected.
Okay. I connected through Pastor James Burks. He used to be my pastor, and actually I still kind of consider him as my pastor, and he now is a member of Life Point. And there was a Sunday that he got to speak or preach from the pulpit, and he invited me to come. During that service, he called me up, and he just kind of had like a prayer for me with my situation. It was kind of like one of those things that, he kind of wanted to reveal like the issue so people don't think it's like such a taboo issue that you can't talk about in church. And so he called me up, we sat down on the altar, and he just called the church to just pray for me in my situation that I'm in. That was actually the very first time that my story was shared publicly, and it was just really awesome to see how all that came together, and just the sea of people. I actually knew a couple of the people that gathered around to pray. One of them is a police officer, and the other one worked at my old job. And although it was kind of awkward to see them because I wasn't sure what they would think, it was just encouraging to see how everybody just responded and to hear their vocal, I guess, affirmation and whatever, just to the point that I'm loved. So
I love that. So when you were up there and he was praying for you and everybody was around, what is it? Just describe what was going on through your brain, through your heart. What was going on at that moment?
What was going on is people are touching me. I'm not fond of being touched or hugged or anything. And maybe it's a lot of the reason is from my story, but it's kind of just been a lifelong thing for me. I don't like to be touched, but I was just like, wow, all attention is on me. But I guess it was more so on God. But it was just like, oh, I don't really know these guys, but at the same time, we're all family in Christ, so it doesn't really matter if I know them by name or not. God knows us all by name, and he calls us. So.
And I love that. And so, if you don't mind, and this is going to be your call here, would you like to just share just a little bit about your story? That, whatever you feel comfortable sharing that, you were able to share that day.
Yeah. I'm a former police officer. I absolutely loved that career. It was my lifelong dream. I was in it for about a year and a half or so. I worked at 2 different agencies, and I just loved it. It was so much fun. And unfortunately, when I went to my last agency, it was several months into it. I was off of training. I was on my own in a solo patrol vehicle, and I had a supervisor that started taking advantage of the situation. And unfortunately, he raped me several times. He was, in my mind, a master manipulator and a groomer, and he took advantage of the situation. And unfortunately for him, he's up in the command staff of the agency, so it was very difficult for me to ever talk or say anything about it. And it wasn't until my sergeant noticed bruises on my arms and a 30-pound weight loss and my complete demeanor change that anybody reached out to me to decide to, hey, what's going on, Heather? What's the matter? Why have you changed? Why have you lost weight? Why are you not eating? And it was a very difficult struggle for me because as much as I wanted to scream out of the atrocities that happened to my body and to my soul and my spirit, I couldn't because I was too afraid of him because he's more powerful than me. And he let me know that continuously. So it was very difficult to go on.
So when you were going through this, and I just can't imagine about going through this every day and dealing just with the horror of that whole situation. Heather, what kept you going during those times?
Honestly, not a lot, because during the times when I wasn't at work, I was scared to go to work regardless. But during the times that I wasn't at work, I was at home hiding in my bedroom, staying in bed all day, not leaving my apartment because I was too afraid, not really getting out. And the other thing is I hid this from a lot of my friends and family, so nobody knew I was struggling with anything. My roommate suspected something, because why do you all of a sudden have somebody that's, way up here and then all of a sudden way down here very quickly? And it just wasn't my personality. And so she knew to notice something, but it wasn't. I still could not be honest with anybody because I couldn't risk this getting back to my assailant that I talked.
I mean, how did you feel holding all of this in? Like that you didn't feel safe to tell anybody? How did that go with you?
I was really scared. Like, I can remember after the first assault, I just walked back in my apartment and just kind of fell to the ground in my kitchen and was just in a complete state of shock. Like, did that really just happen to me? I wanted to call in sick from work, but I couldn't because I was only on probation. But I was so scared. I was just like, how did that just happen to me? And um, I know we were playing on the playground earlier, but which is a kind of a good representation of me, because before all this happened, I was very childlike. Not in the sense of immaturity or whatever, but before all this happened, I was a virgin. I was very naive on the whole topic of anything sexually based. My mom and I never discussed the topic of sex, it just never came up. So I was very kind of naive. And so for him to take advantage of the situation, I really was like a child in that sense, and I didn't even see it coming.
And either if it's sexual abuse, verbal abuse, emotional abuse, you're not alone. And I hope you guys hear that. You're not alone. And Heather is just so brave in sharing her story with us today and being able to stand up there that day in front of the church for the first time. I mean, with not just one, but what? Oh, probably 100, 200 other people. So the girl has guts. I'm telling you. So, Heather, what is it that got you to the point that you're like, you know what? I'm not going to hide it inside anymore. I'm not going to pretend like it was nothing. I'm going to share my story. What was it that made you take off that mask and do that?
I just kept thinking, there's so many people out there with my same story. Maybe they weren't raped by a law enforcement officer. Maybe they were raped by a father, a brother, a cousin. Maybe they were raped by a total stranger. But I just kept thinking that somehow I want to raise awareness, somehow. And I don't know how God could use this story. I really feel like he will. But I wanted to raise awareness to let other people know that, first of all, you can come as you are. It is a very hard subject to deal with. It's a very difficult story to live with. Because even today I'm still terrified to go out in public because my assailant was never arrested. Charges were never filed against him because, as I'm sure a lot of other rape victims know, it's very difficult to get charges against a rapist because there's just the evidence just isn't there. And so I just really wanted to raise awareness and let people know that it's okay. You don't have to feel ashamed, although even today I still do. Even today I still find myself hiding in my bedroom or wearing completely, dressing like a nun basically, with hoodie and jeans so nobody can see my body, or just not going on like I should. Maybe it's because I still don't eat a lot, or I sleep too much or something, but that's how I'm coping with it. But at the same time, I like to write about my journey because I really feel like somehow this is going to be used to help somebody else on their journey one day.
Well, first of all, I have to say, and I think probably my other viewers out there can agree, it's already being used. It's already being used, Heather. Your story is already being used. The day you decided to step on that stage and allow Pastor Burke and the whole entire congregation just wrap around and love you, you're being used. And she's got more, and I'm going to let her share. I'm going to let her have that option to share. But also, and the great part about this too is that I love how Heather brought that out. When she was able to bring her mask down, she wasn't saying, I'm cured, everything's good, I'm ready to run. We're still struggling. There are some hard days, and I'm sure you have some hard days still. You've already talked about it. And it's not saying that you've come to the part of completion, but it's so that you're at the point where you're allowing God to use your message. You're allowing God to come into your mess and make it his message. About having it all together. It's actually about falling apart and allowing God to use that as you are. So that's huge, Heather. I'm so glad you shared that. So before we kind of bring this all to a close, and I'm sure our viewers are going, no, but we have to, all good things come to an end here. But Heather, is there anything else you would like to share with us? I mean, I know you got your journal there, and I know you got at least a verse in there that you said helped you through this time. So I'm just going to give you the floor. What is something that you would like to share that can encourage? And I want you to picture right there on the other side of that camera, there's a woman that has just gone through what she thinks the most horrific experience of her life. And she's hit rock bottom. And she doesn't know what's up. And she doesn't know what her next step is. And the only thing she can think of is just shutting the door and not leaving her house ever, ever, ever again. What would you say to that woman today?
Remove all knives from the house.
That true?
Yeah, because that's been a battle that I've faced as well. It's just like cutting because you try to take the pain off of your heart. But also the thing that I've really tried to cope with, I kind of have, and this is going to sound bad, but I kind of have drawn away from God towards, with this situation a little bit, because I kind of felt like he did leave me. I kind of felt like he took, a permanent vacation in my life. And I know better. I was raised in a Christian home, Christian school, Christian college. I know better. I know he's there. I know he's got his hand reached out to me, waiting for me to take it. But at the same time, God, why did you allow this to happen to me? And I guess, a question that one of my friends recently we were discussing is, why not me? I could say, woe is me, I hate this, because I do. It's one of the most demeaning situations anybody could ever go through. But at the same time, I've always felt that through this situation that God is going to use it somehow. I don't know how. I really wish he would work on my timetable and do it like yesterday. But somewhere down the road, I really feel like he's going to use it. And so during this time, when I find myself laying in bed, when I find myself unable to cope with life as it is, I just kind of pull out my journal and I just start journaling, because I kind of want to be an open book to people, although I haven't shared, the details of what happened on those days. That's not important. What's important is I want my story to affect somebody else. I want somebody to pick up my book one day and be like, wow, that's exactly what I felt, and that's okay. God can still use the mess and turn it into a message, the trial, the test, and turn it into a testimony. And so during, my darkest hours, I have been writing. I have been trying to find purpose for the pain, and I really feel like the verse Ecclesiastes 3:1-8, to everything there's a season, that passage has just really helped, because there really is a season for everything. And one of the things that I would like to share in this moment is a poem that I wrote. And actually, this is the poem that was shared at church that Sunday, and I finished it the day before, which was, it was really cool how that worked out, because I finished it the day before, and then it was able to be shared in church the very next day.
And I have to add, there's God. Okay, continue. Sorry, I had to open the door for that one. Okay, continue.
Right. And see, that's another thing. As much as I feel like God has taken a vacation from my life, he really has been here the whole time. He's provided me friends and family, that I can just go cry on their shoulder, or maybe they'll feed me, or whatever. They'll get me out of the house for some time. And he really has been in this situation, although sometimes it doesn't feel like it, because I do cry my nights away. I do get scared to go out in public. I do constantly look over my shoulder like, oh, where's my assailant going to be? But at the same time, I really feel like God has given me a voice through my words, and I really want that to help somebody else one day down the road. And so I wrote this poem, and if you don't mind.
I'm going to let her share this, and I want you, if you're watching this video, I want you to sit there and just shut your eyes just for a minute. And I want you to picture that you just got to walk forward and put your hands on this amazing woman and hold hands with other people that are praying for her. And as we're standing there, Pastor Burke goes, oh, wait just a minute. I have a poem that I'm going to read that she just finished. So this is what was going through our mind that day. And it's just amazing. So just, sit back and enjoy this amazing testimony that God has written through this young woman. So here we go.
Thank you, Bethany. I've titled the poem Victim of a Rape, and it goes like this. I hope you guys like it. I hope you guys can find, peace that I've tried to find in the words of it. I'm afraid to go in public now. I stay and hide within. I plan my days out carefully in fear of seeing him. I still don't know what I did wrong, although I've cast my claim. I feel as if I'm at fault. Does he feel the same? He made me feel that I'm to blame within his callous jest. I could only lay in silent pain with opposition to his quest. Does he see that he did wrong, even in my deepest plea, when my words went ignored, as he took a piece of me? Does he know the pain he caused has scarred me deep within, and will stay with me forever now in this new life that I live? I have lost my smile now, and all good things of me. I no longer share in laughter deep that once rang wild and free. I cry myself to sleep now as my days are dark and dim, as images flash through my mind of that painful time with him. My nights are filled with nightmares that overtake my sleep, and the loneliness I feel inside just causes me to weep. Fear has taken over me, I'm anxious at my best, all because one selfish soul has brought me in this mess. I carry around a title now, I'm a statistic with no name, a life that was once beautiful, now deeply filled with shame. And worse yet, now I sit and wait for justice that I crave, for this senseless tragedy that will hold me till my grave. I try to make some sense of this, the questions fill my mind, and now I rest in the fact that answers I won't find. Life is not so simple now, my fear has me restrained. Will the peace I used to know ever break me from these chains? Or will I stay bound up tight with nary an escape, where the only name I'll ever know is victim of a rape? But I've stood up to the system now, a hero with no shame. No longer can he hold me as a victim of his game, because strength will be my banner now. I've overcome great odds, and even when I've questioned most, I'm still so loved by God. I will always have the memories, but those moments are at rest. I can lay my head in solitude and know I did my best. The questions that remain in me are settled with resolve, and will push me on to greater heights, although they stay unsolved. I've conquered on this journey now to help those in my stead, to have a brighter sojourn here on the path that lies ahead. And now if what I've been through can help one on their way, the evil that was done to me was a blessing in delay. I don't wish this on an enemy, but I won't live as before. My assailant has no hold on me, for now and evermore. No longer am I silenced now, and the evil brought by one. I will speak of onward victory until my race is run. He no longer has his grasp on me. I have found my great escape, where never will I live again as a victim of a rape.
I love that. That so many things we allow ourselves to define us. And there's only one person that ever has the right to define us. And that's our Abba Father. And God says, you are his chosen person. You are his daughter. You are laughing for him. You are free for him. And nothing, absolutely nothing, can hold him back from loving you. And that's just amazing to think about that and what God has done through that poem and how far he has brought you. And I cannot imagine the plans he has for you, girl. And he definitely has a writing journey for you, I think, and putting yourself out there. And I told her when we met that day, if you remember, because I was just so caught, and I'm sure that was a great sermon. Sorry, Troy, or sorry, Pastor Burke. I know you did a great job. I don't remember any of it because I was still on the poem. And as soon as the service got over that day, I was like beelining it over there. Do you remember that? Yep. I said, you need to write. That's like the only thing I could get out of my mouth. She was like, hello, stranger. And how are you? And that's pretty much how we met. And, it's like, you have to write. You've got a gift. So we just had to share, and we connected over that. And I'm just, each time I see her, I just see God working in your life. And it's just pretty amazing to see that. So, Heather, I just want to say thank you for being unmasked and real for us. And there's no doubt in my mind that you've encouraged someone today to share their story.
I hope so.
And keep on moving on. Is there anything else you'd like to say before we sign off?
I really do hope that somehow my child can help somebody else in their own down the road. And that's my goal.
I think it will. I think it will.
Dare to do more than just survive. Stand out and thrive.